Hello everybody, and welcome back. I want to talk now briefly, in the lecture format, about beliefs as possession and the endowment effect. So here's where we take two psychological theories, social psychological theories, and we kind of mesh them together. Maybe call it a mashup. Let's see where we go with it. So we're orienting ourselves. We're at lecture 2.4. What I'd like to see first here then is credit where credit is due. And think about this. This is a writing class, and often you have to discuss other people's ideas. And fair is fair, because the idea is then we have to cite those people, place credit where credit is due. So we're going to take a quick look at a citation here, and we see this is by Robert Abelson. One of his greatest books is Statistics as a Principled Argument, that really kind of takes the conceptual aspect of how to use statistics rather than the kind of the nuts and bolts about it. Anyway, this is one of the ideas that Abelson has had, and you can see that there you go. And we're going to talk about beliefs as possessions, a functional perspective, and note where this is from, right? This is from the third Ohio State University volume on attitudes and persuasion. And we already know what a rich history Ohio State social psychology has in attitudes and persuasion. So how would we cite this? Well, basically, for the purposes of our course, is you're going to say parentheses, Abelson, comma, 1989, and that'll be sufficient for our purposes. Okay, hi Penelope. There's little Penelope is going to hang out with us. So, what do we know then? Well, beliefs as possession, what does it mean? The authors in this article make the case that we treat our beliefs in much the same way that we treat our possessions, that there's a high level of similarity between these. So the premise then that evolves from this is ideas are essentially objects. Right? So it takes it more into a tangible realm. And think about it in terms of language, and of course as a writing class we always return to the issues of language and the evidence. We cling or hold beliefs as we would a possession, right? As a child holds a blanket, then people hold on to their beliefs. We acquire beliefs. That is, over time beliefs develop. It's like an acquisition. So we go to the belief store and buy beliefs. Well, not so much, but acquisition takes place. And you can ask yourself, where does the acquisition of beliefs take place? And you can kind of generate maybe a long list of places where that's going to happen. Okay? We defend beliefs. So defends beliefs. That is, this belief is mine and I'm going to defend it, just as I might attempt to defend my possessions from theft from other people or damage, right? And we might try to sell a belief, and that is get other people to purchase it, and that is to invest their mind space and kind of their thinking in the belief that I'd like them to. So what's the consequence of this? Where does it all go? Well, a threat to a belief then, because it's a possession, can be a threat to the self. If we go back to William James, remember the me in William James, part of what the me is what we call ours, and that would extend then to our beliefs. So my beliefs are part of me. My beliefs are good, correct, etc. Because remember, William James said that we have this kind of bias to think in terms of the self as being good, protecting the self and the self-survival. Challenges to my beliefs then must be responded to, or at least dismissed at the very minimum. And a threat to a belief can be a threat to my group. So if we extend it from the person to the group level, that is, groups hold certain ideas. Culture, is part of this. The culture is based on this set of shared and often out of awareness beliefs. So those who don't share my beliefs are, and then blank. You fill in the blank. What are they? And notice that even when we're feeling generous, we use this weird word, tolerate. We must tolerate those who don't share our beliefs. We don't embrace them. We don't necessarily empathize them. At a very minimum, we just tolerate their existence. That is, we don't attempt to attack or wipe them out, I guess. If they try to impose their beliefs on us, we will resist. And that's just the big time there. We're justified in attacking those that threaten our way of life, how our beliefs tell us that we should live, right? So this becomes a very powerful circumstance, all based on beliefs. Now, okay, beliefs as possessions, probably pretty clear by now. At least I hope so. Let's talk about another social psychological theory, the endowment effect. And the endowment effect is super simple, right? People assign increased value, that is over the market value, of their objects because it is theirs. So simply because I own it, I believe it's worth more. Ask any pawn shop owner when someone brings something in, right? And the poor pawn shop owner looks at the person and says, you know, I know you think it's worth this, but it isn't. It's worth market value. It's worth what I can sell it for and make my profit. And people are often disappointed. Danny Kahneman, hey, well, I already gave you the answer. Who's the social psychologist that won the Nobel Prize, right? And that would be Danny Kahneman for his work in economics. There's a lot of experimental research on this. It's been done in the laboratory often, but let's take a look. Two different situations. If you take this mug, right, you know, students with no mugs were willing to buy them on average for $2.25. So that establishes the market value. What's this mug worth? It's worth what people will pay, what the market will bear, and that's $2.25. But the other students assigned to a different condition were given a mug, and then they were asked, will you sell us the mug? And students on average would only sell the mug for $4 and would sell them. So you can see there's a huge discrepancy, almost the difference. So if I own it, it's worth more, right? If I'm trying to sell it, it's worth less. So let's put these two together then. People's beliefs function as their possessions. That's the first part. And people, via the endowment effect, tend to overvalue their possessions. So what are the potential outcomes of this? And that's your thinking point, and that leads us to assignment number 4, introspective access. What I'm asking you to do in assignment 4, the goal is to make conscious how beliefs are tied, right, to our sense of self, and how attacks to our beliefs might affect or influence our self-esteem. And I hope that we become ever more mindful of ourselves. Core component of this course, right, is mindfulness, how we operate in our world, and the consequence of those operations that we perform in the world. So your mission for the assignment, and obviously the assignment in Carmen is fleshed out to a great deal more, but pick an example in which you can tie together in a meaningful and concise manner narrative, right, that the relationship of self-esteem, the endowment effect, beliefs as possessions, and an existing attitude and behavior. And within that assignment, in Module 2, you see at assignment 4, I've got some good examples for you there, personal examples for me. So go ahead and check that out, revisit this as you wish, and that's it. Mash them up. Take care.